What on earth is happening right now? With the SEC cracking down left and right in the crypto space, launching investigations, filing lawsuits, it's been a whirlwind. The biggest splash? The Coinbase lawsuit. That's huge. Honestly, it's exciting to watch it all unfold. So, what's the deal with Ripple and XRP? What's really happening there? And why does it seem like the SEC is suddenly warming up to crypto now that Trump's in office? It's a curious shift. But this appeal is still dragging on. Why? Here's the short version. I've been trading crypto successfully for over 380 days, consistently closing every month in profit. In the last 90 days alone, my followers have earned over $29,000 in profits by copying my trades. Want to see my verified stats? Click the first link in the profile description and start copying my trades for free today. As I've explained countless times, the situation between Ripple and the SEC is layered with complexities. But seriously, this whole saga has to wrap up eventually, or, in the very unlikely scenario, the appeal might move forward. Honestly, I'd give that about a 0% chance of happening, but it does leave us all wondering, what's really going on here? Two key points in this video you won't want to miss. First, let's dive into a headline from Crypto Basic. Ripple v. SEC. Expert denies rumor of SEC considering dismissal of Ripple appeal. Wait, what? Is this case going to drag on forever? Not so fast. There's more to the story, and we'll break down why this rumor's making waves. It's been buzzing all over the XRP community on social media, so let's untangle the details. Second, an attorney deeply rooted in the XRP world has shared his intriguing personal theory. He's been following the SEC v. Ripple saga for years, offering invaluable insights into the twists and turns of this legal battle. His take on why the dismissal hasn't happened yet is thought-provoking, to say the least. So buckle up and let's unpack everything. Quick disclaimer, I'm not a financial expert, and this is definitely not financial advice. Just an exploration of the latest Ripple drama. Let's dive into this story. Fox Business journalist Eleanor Tarrant is shutting down rumors that the US SEC is about to drop its appeal against Ripple. On February 24th, the SEC Crypto Task Force convened with legal experts to tackle pressing crypto regulation challenges. Among the experts, Jason Gottlieb, Andrew Hinks, and J.W. Verrett presented a detailed analysis of the SEC's handling of crypto cases. Their document took a close look at the Ripple lawsuit, critiquing how the SEC labeled certain cryptocurrencies as securities without definitive judicial backing. It called out the Commission's shaky stance on secondary market transactions, with courts yet to fully agree with their position, as seen in the Ripple case. Here's a direct quote from the document itself. Indeed, when the SEC's theory was tested in the Ripple case, Judge Torres found that transactions do not constitute investment contracts because the purchasers could not ascertain whether their payment went to Ripple or other XRP sellers. This point was a major win for the XRP community, and something we've been arguing for years. How can anyone claim we've entered some sort of agreement or arrangement with Ripple? It doesn't add up. There's no contract, no terms, nothing binding Ripple to us. And even beyond that, if you buy XRP without knowing if it's from Ripple or another seller entirely, how could there be any obligation on Ripple's part? It defies logic. Here's the gist of what's buzzing in the XRP community. Recently, speculation swirled around a post claiming the SEC's Crypto Task Force met with lawyers to discuss dropping the long-running Ripple lawsuit. Naturally, this sent shockwaves through the community, sparking heated debates. But hold on. Fox Business journalist Eleanor Tarrant quickly shut down the rumors with a firm no, even throwing in a facepalm emoji to emphasize her frustration over the baseless claims. The document at the center of it all highlights the Ripple case, but Tarrant's response makes it clear. The SEC isn't budging on this one. For context, the post suggesting Trump's crypto task force was involved in this alleged meeting racked up an impressive 561,000 views, proving just how quickly speculation can spread. If you skim through the document, sure, Ripple got a mention, just like the Crypto Basic article pointed out, but there wasn't a word about the Ripple versus SEC case, the dismissal, or even the appeal process. Not a peep. Naturally, Eleanor Tarrant caught this and wasn't too thrilled, rightfully so. She called it out with a big, bold no, adding that facepalm emoji for emphasis. Honestly, I get it. This kind of thing doesn't help anyone, and it's the last thing we need stirring up unnecessary noise in the community. We absolutely don't. If it were blatantly spelled out that they were doing that, then yes, please share it. I'd be thrilled. I'd be shouting it from the rooftops, making a video about it, and giving you full credit. But if you're saying that's what's happening, and all we find in the document is a vague reference to a quote from the SEC v. Ripple case, that's a completely different story. It's just not the same. I'm all for living in reality. If it's a mistake, just own it. That's fine. mistakes happen, but this doesn't seem like one. Someone else mentioned a now-deleted post, and I can't comment much because I didn't see it before it vanished. However, Eleanor Tarrant chimed in yesterday morning, saying she actually does the research, talks to the people involved, and confirmed there was no mention of any specific ongoing case in that meeting. She spoke with those in the room, got their input, and honestly, she's a solid journalist who does her job incredibly well. She absolutely does. But then they're like, nope, we weren't talking about any specific case, which, sure, fair enough. It's a crypto task force, after all. Still, it didn't quite add up. Something felt off. Then came this twist. The real question is, what's actually going on here? Enter Metalawman, aka Attorney James Murphy, with an intriguing theory that might just connect the dots. Here's the gist of his take. The SEC's unexplained delay in wrapping up the Ripple case? It might not be on them. Ripple could be pushing hard, negotiating to get the SEC to vacate parts, or even all, of Judge Torres's ruling. The Torres decision was a big win for XRP holders, no doubt about it. But for Ripple, the finding of securities law violations and the B injunction with its so-called bad boy provisions are less than ideal, especially if an exempt securities offering or IPO is on the horizon. Honestly, I think the SEC would have gladly settled for both sides dropping their appeals and pocketing the $125 million penalty without hesitation. So, it wouldn't surprise me if Ripple is working to strike an even sweeter deal. Of course, this is all just my own speculation, but it's an intriguing possibility, isn't it? I could be wrong. Wouldn't be the first time. But this seems like reasonable speculation. We don't have all the answers. If the SEC is ready to toss everything else out, why isn't Ripple's situation neatly wrapped up by now? A couple of possibilities come to mind. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, it could simply be due to added complexities in the settlement itself, things like penalties or other fine print. But here's another angle. Even if, hypothetically, the war on crypto is declared over and the SEC is ready to move on, Ripple might not be. They could be thinking, we've got the leverage now. Ripple might be digging in their heels, pushing back, and playing hardball because they know exactly what the SEC wants and they know they hold the cards. But what about Ripple's perspective in all this? What if Ripple is, in fact, working to negotiate a more favorable outcome? It's a fascinating question. There's also an interesting point raised by attorney James Murphy, who noted that it's far from guaranteed that a federal judge would agree to vacate a prior ruling as part of a settlement. Years ago, this was fairly common practice in the legal world, but more recently, judges have started pushing back on it. So even if the SEC wants to drop their appeal, and Ripple is willing to do the same, would that require vacating parts of Judge Torres's ruling? And if so, how would she feel about essentially undoing her own decision? That's the big question. While the answer isn't clear, there's a strong possibility that Ripple is standing its ground behind the scenes, refusing to let the SEC walk away without concessions. After all, Ripple is in a much stronger position right now, or at least that's how it looks from where I'm sitting. Attorney John Deaton shared my post and simply added, "Solid theory. It's clear he agrees it makes sense." Then there's attorney Bill Morgan, a prominent voice in the XRP community, who also weighed in. He reposted it with an interesting take. This is complicated. Permanent injunctions sometimes protect the public, and other times just the party seeking them. In this case, the injunction against Ripple is the former. Wouldn't Ripple, even with the SEC's consent, need to file a motion to set it aside due to changed circumstances? Attorney Murphy chimed in, confirming that yes, a motion would be necessary, but there's a catch, a risk that Judge Torres might refuse to overturn her previous order. Murphy even shared a helpful resource explaining the concept, but honestly, diving into that would take us way off track here. The key point? There's a bit of uncertainty and Ripple could still face hurdles if Judge Torres decides to stand firm. So, even now, do you still wonder, worst case scenario, what happens to Ripple? They pay the fine, right? Probably. I mean, come on, the SEC under Trump isn't exactly eager to keep chasing this. That much is clear. But there's an interesting question from someone in the XRP community. CB a Silver Bullet. Quick question. If the SEC drops the Ripple case, does Judge Torres's ruling that XRP isn't a security still hold? Or does it disappear since the case didn't conclude? Attorney Hogan weighed in, explaining that part of the ruling wasn't even appealed, so XRP will stay classified as not a security forever, no matter what. For anyone worried about what this means for XRP itself, rest easy, it doesn't change a thing. It's not changing, so we'll see how this all unfolds. Honestly, I'm still hopeful this wraps up soon, and who knows? Maybe we'll see a headline about Ripple turning the tables on the SEC and landing a surprisingly favorable deal. Wouldn't that be something? A real win for them. But here's the important part for any XRP holder. We're in a good spot either way. No need to stress. Oh, and just to be clear, I'm not a financial advisor, so don't make any buying or selling decisions based on what I say. Seriously, that would be a terrible idea.